Welcome back, guys. This is part 2 of our overt versus covert discussion around intelligence gathering and recon missions. So yes, I understand before you guys get all upset and start mashing the keyboard that the discussion is generally covert when you're trying to gather information and complete a reconnaissance mission. However, when we talk about the gear that we were running in the last video, concealed, very much a covert application. This, everything out in the open, if you were to lay eyes on me, obviously this is a more overt application of some of the gear for, yes, the same mission set, the same goals we're trying to accomplish to gather information to build something like an area study, gather information on key points, fixtures, things like that, both in our area of operation and our area of interest. So if things were to go sideways, if there were to be a widespread crisis or emergency of whatever variety, it could be man-made, it could be a whole number of things, right? Natural disasters, certainly. Look at everything that's happened in North Carolina in the last several months. Having a good understanding of what's around you is very much essential to your own survivability. Now, if you're in a more rural environment, last episode we talked a lot about what would happen if you're in an urban environment. This is going to be more on the rural side of things where there's a lot of forests around you. Your neighbors may be a ways away. Your access to things like grocery stores could be several miles. A very, very different discussion while still trying to achieve all of the same things. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into this week's video. Okay, so guys, talking about the mission set again is to gather information. Now, in urban environments, it may have been things like where your grocery stores are, where your processing plants and manufacturing facilities are that are of key interest to you, sewage processing, water treatment facilities. And while all of that is probably still true and still very important in a rural setting, it's also very different. Your grocery stores could be miles and miles away and could be somewhat limited. Instead, you may be concerned with trying to patrol to a neighboring farm or some kind of dairy production facility, something like that, where you're gathering information on how many people are there, what's there, how far away is it, key landmarks, roads, logging trails that aren't roads, but you still want to be aware of those, again, as they fall within your immediate area of operations around your home, your homestead, your base of operations, right? And then immediately outside that, your greater area of interest, things you want to be aware of. So if you have other neighbors, if you have other people around you that are either part of your network or a competing network that you need to be aware of, the more information you have, the better decisions that you can make. And typically when we talk about a recce rig or a recce rifle, recce mission, right, recon, this is what people think. So very different from the last video. You guys can see here, multicam. Obviously you want to blend in with as much of the foliage as we can. Green gear, multicam gear, yes, tan works very well too. You want earth tones. I think that makes a lot of sense without having to belabor that point. Whereas in our urban environment, grays, cold, neutral colors. Here we want stuff that's going to break up and is going to mask us while we're out in the environment. You can roll with the jeans like this. You can go very 1970s Vietnam era with it, like I am here, or you can get as weird as you want. You want to build out a ghillie suit, have at it. The difference in applications here is you're probably not going to be able to drive nearly as much as you would in an urban setting because as people are more spread out, there's less vehicles and more attention on vehicles that are coming by. So maybe patrolling it on foot, even if it's going to take you half a day or a day, each direction, that's something you may have to plan for and consider. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So just like the last video, we're going to start with our recce weapon because it's what people have the most interest in for obvious reasons, however nonsensical it may be. So here, this is what a lot of people I think would classify as a recce rifle. So this is a 13 9-inch upper receiver. This is the Mod 2 from our friends over at American Defense Manufacturing. You can see we have a white light with some caps on it. The cap from our friends at 100 Concepts. Shameless plug, guys, I know. We do have an infrared laser out here because I run night vision. If you don't run night vision, you don't need this. But out in that austere environment where there isn't a whole lot of natural light, maybe something like night vision does help you out and it is worth having on you. So in that contingency, This is the 3 electron infrared. This is the laser. So it's got the illuminator, the laser, and the visible laser built into it. Got it slaved to a dual pressure pad with the white light. Got a suppressor on here because why not? And then in terms of being a actual quote unquote recce rifle, a Vortex Viper 1-6 with a piggyback RMR from Recon on here. So if I needed to passively aim with the night vision or, you know, close distance engagements, excuse me, I can aim through the top dot and then use the magnification through the tube here. Also running the anti-reflective, the Pro Caps from 100 Concepts on this. But when we talk about recce rifle, I think this is what a lot of people generally think about. Something a 16, a 14.5, or a 13.9 that gives you capability to do all sorts of things at a varying degree of ranges for a varying degree of applications. Slingster from Faro Concepts on here. Other than that, it's not anything super fancy, mil-spec trigger. You want this thing to run and be rugged and reliable for you. Certainly not worried about concealment in this case. So, recce rifle, when we talk about sustaining that rifle, everything else in our mission set is going to come down to 2 major pieces of equipment. The first we're going to talk about is the chest rig. So this is the Thing 2 from Spiritus Systems. RIP to the Thing 2. They're actually moving on at the time of this video to the Thing 3, but the concept is still sound and they actually maintain it. They just build off of it for the new iteration. So what's cool about this is the Thing is actually a chassis system. So you can pick and choose however you want to set up your chest rig. Yes, there's a lot of surplus options out there on the market, things like the TAPS rig. If you guys are in the military or were in the military, you were probably issued one at one time. It's great, you can do a lot with it, but in terms of what you can customize it on it, it's somewhat limited. That's why I like the chassis system here. So let's talk about how I have mine set up for my use case and applications. Dead in the center here, this is the Spiritus Mark IV placard. So years ago, pre-Rona, the Mark IV and placards in general were the hotness on the internet. If you want to be an internet operator, and I definitely did, all you had to do was buy a slick carrier, clip one of these bad boys in there, and everybody knew you meant business. So once I moved on to some other more logical things, still had this left over, clipped this onto the system, it Velcros on together with the dangler pouch from Spiritus. I fill this with my medical. The front pouch here has a bunch of room to store all kinds of things to support your mission set, which is again, gathering information. The downside is, extremely loud when you unvelcro this. But let's talk about what's in the front here. So a right in the rain pad, because this is important. Here is a Sunto compass that I have dummy corded to the rig itself. So if I were to drop it, have to, you know, ditch and run, as the children say, I'm not going to lose this. I've tried land navigation with some of those $10 quote unquote USGI compasses you can get on Amazon. Guys, just don't. It was miserable. The bezel spun, so you had to recalibrate and everything every time you went to go check what you were doing. This is a much better option. It's about 50 bucks, 60 bucks last time I looked. Definitely worth the money. Additionally, have a ferro rod in here. So if you are gonna be out for a night or several nights, something to start fire with is a great idea. The cap here actually does open up and there's tinder in there. And then I also have this is a tick key because here in the Midwest, when the weather warms up, we have ticks. And while it's not as bad as the deer tick problem down south, it's still not something you want to deal with, because in the event that things are going poorly, right, you really, really want to avoid any kind of disease or the things that come along with having a tick latched to your body for long periods of time. So that's what I have in the center pouch here. You can see along the top line, I have 5 magazines. Now I understand the standard infantryman's loadout, as the internet has informed me, is 7. So 5 plus 1 on the gun is 6. So apparently I'm at an extreme disadvantage. It is what it is. I'm willing to deal with it. So let's talk about the back line here. I got the 5 mags. I have a cat tourniquet shoved in here because tourniquets are essential. It goes with the dangler pouch with the medical, so I can pair these together. I can access this medical equipment, and so can somebody that may need to work on me. And then I could have additional medical in my pack, which we'll get to in a moment. On the other side over here, this is a dual theorem tube. So I like these because they don't actually make any noise at all, but they store batteries. So whether it's AA's, AAA's, 123s for your flashlights, your optics, whatever have you, these are great. This shoves right in here next to my magazine. No problems there. On the sides here, the chassis has wings on it that are basically molly panels made out of thermoplastic. So you can molly whatever kind of pouch you want to have on the sides. Some people really like having Nalgene pouches there because that's how they like to carry their water. I don't like having all of that weight free hanging off of the front of my body and swinging around. So I opted for the Just pouches from Spiritus System. So this H harness, the Mark IV, the Thing 2, and the Dangler, this is a full Spiritus build out. And I opted for matching Just pouches because I like that it has this bifurcation between the back pouch, so I can have my Velcro inserts for a single magazine and then I can shove in the tourniquet. But then you also have the front pouch, which has additional separation in here. So in the back pocket, I have some small things in here like this microfiber cloth, just shoved in a plastic bag to keep it clean. So things like lenses, whether it's on your rifle scope or your laser emitter, or what I have in the front here, spotting scope from Vortex. If this were to get dirty or need to be cleaned, because weather happens, right? You have this microfiber to go with it. And guys, this is the same one from the last video. Don't waste your money on multiple gear setups if you can just share parts between them. I don't understand why people do that. It's really, really wasteful. And then additionally, in here, I do have a Petzl headlamp. This one is one that runs off of batteries and it's not rechargeable because if you're out in the field and this dies, you don't have an outlet to plug into, so the recharge does you very little good. This is a white light and red light. I think that's something that's important to keep in mind. Certainly you could get some cheaper ones, but Petzl's a really good brand. I really like this. Fits in here really nicely. And not a ton of stuff on this side because I like to keep my right side where I'm right-handed. So my dominant side, I like to keep fairly slick, because if I were wearing a belt and had to draw my sidearm, I want to have as little over here impeding that as possible. Same thing with my rifle when it's slung. This is my primary hand. I want to have less crap over here. Now on the opposite side here, a little bit more stuff. Support hand, maybe I can just rest on it while I'm carrying the rifle and there's some comfort there. But again, big old pouch here. I have things like some gloves because you don't know how bad the vegetation may be or what you may encounter, especially if you're on somebody's property where they have, I don't know, like rusty old farm equipment or something like that that you have to move and deal with. Having gloves is not a bad idea. Chocolate chip cookies, because if you don't bring snacks, have you ever even done this before? And then I have, this is important, I have some Tylenol here and I have dude wipes, because shit happens, literally. I have been caught on some trips with friends and stuff. Luckily I wasn't going in the woods, but was dreading the 50-cent toilet paper in the Porta-John, and a buddy let me clued me in on this, that hey, why don't you just pack dude wipes or some kind of baby wipes to keep yourself clean. Hygiene's huge in the field, so having something like this on your person, I would say is immensely important. You will thank yourself later when you're going through it. But this all fits in here really nicely, really easily, not very loud, short of the Velcro anyway. And on the back side of this whole chassis system here, there are two pockets in the back that are built for larger military style radios and communications. You can see here I have my Baofeng with the good old shoot me stick here, where I can kind of unfurl this and, you know, get it much higher up and extend my range of communication if need be. And I have that run to a trucker mic on the shoulder. There's a couple options for this. I don't like running a helmet all the time if I don't have to. The weight, the strain on your neck and everything can be a real pain. If you have nods, maybe you're a little bit out of luck. But with this, I can actually plug in a male-to-male audio cable on here and run from the trucker mic up to my ear pro for communications, and then use this as kind of a poor man's push-to-talk. Or alternatively, if you want to use a push-to-talk and just wear your headset, you can hook up something like this push-to-talk to something like these. This is maybe not the best example. This is a set of Walker's Razors. There is a boom mic and push-to-talk kit from Defense Distributors. They were kind enough to send me this out. I did tape the down leads together because the two loose cables were getting kind of unruly. But you can wear this, you can go ahead and plug into it, and then you have a push to talk. And same thing if you were to run the audio cable through your trucker mic, only you can hear the communications, and then you can key out when you need to or want to. Word to the wise with some of these, they don't do the greatest when they get wet, so invest in good comms equipment, or understand that you may just be at a severe limitation. But good stuff to keep in mind. Comms is important, and if you're out in the world, out in the wilderness, cell phone signal may not be a thing, guys. So don't rely on your cell phone, as with so many other things. Don't rely on your cell phone to be there for your primary means of communication. Now, if we're out there for multiple days or a half day, something like a day pack is going to become extremely advantageous and extremely beneficial. So let's kind of look at what I have going on here. This is a 2-day pack from Mystery Ranch on the front here. Take this off. This is a scrim from 100 Concepts, guys. These are great to have because it will conceal and break up your silhouette of your pack. And then when you get to your observation point, when you're gathering your data, gathering your information, this can actually be helpful in building some kind of hide site, concealing your location. So shout out to 100 Concepts, big supporters of ours. Not so shameless plug. And I'm not going to get into this whole thing. Certainly not the biggest pack that's on the market, but I do like this because it has the tri-zip function, so I can get in through the top. I can zip up, or unzip rather, and get into the middle of it. It has zippers and pockets on the top here where I can get into all sorts of things. So whether that's food, that's supplies to make fire, additional boo-boo kit things like maybe it's some ointment or something because the bugs are real nasty, or I need some matches to start a fire or whatever have you. I like this pack because it has some really big side pockets here. You can see I have a fixed blade. This is from Mora Knife clipped in. You could also get something like this Gerber strong arm that could be clipped in here. Having a fixed blade is great. Additionally, I will also pack something like this hatchet where I can secure the head kind of down in the pocket on the side, and then if I know I'm going to be out for a while and I may need to build some kind of makeshift shelter, having some sort of chopping or cutting tool can be really helpful. And then alternatively, you can utilize the 2 pockets for some additional tools, things like this. So a spotting scope and a tripod. This one's actually really light. I should really rattle can this now that the weather here is warming up. But this is extremely light, and this breaks down really easily. The tripod was 20 bucks on Amazon, and it comes with the little tray here on the bottom of the spotting scope. There's a little wing nut head type thing. You can screw this in the bottom of the spotting scope, and then this comes apart. So 1 pocket, 2nd pocket, and this is extremely light. This is less than half a pound if I had to guess, maybe even less than a 1/4 pound, and has a level built in if that makes a difference for you. But for observation purposes, great. If you're running an SPR or a recce rifle and you did have to take a shot for some reason, having a spotting scope available is really kind of helpful. And this one actually adjusts from the top, which as I understand it is a really nice feature on tripods. Not that I've used them a whole heck of a lot. But having all of this available to you is a great advantage. Again, if you don't have the proper skill sets, it's not this video. If you don't have the proper skill sets, you're going to fail anyways. So get out there, learn sustainment, learn survival skills, learn how to move and operate successfully, both in a team and as a singleton out in the woods. Know your environment, know your area of operation, whether that's urban or rural, and understand the mission set and the gear that you need to be successful. So hopefully this has helped you guys out. If you have questions about this setup, please drop them in the comment section. We love the feedback, and so does the algorithm. So make sure you guys mash that like button, hit the subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and we will check you on the next one.